Hi, for this example, what we're going to do is we are going to solve an inequality. This one does have a lot more steps than some of the other ones that I've done. What you always want to do with an inequality is treat it like an equation. And the first step is to always simplify both sides. So when you're solving an inequality or an equation, you want to just focus on one side at a time. So on the right-hand side, since I do have like terms, I'm going to go ahead and combine those together. So I would just do 2x minus 1x. Which ends up giving me just x. And then on the right-hand side, we do have a lot more work to do. We do have to do the distributive property twice. So I would start by distributing the 2 into the parentheses. So I would do 2 times 2, which gives me 4x, and 2 times negative 2, which gives me negative 4. We would then distribute the negative 4 into the second one. Make sure that you distribute the sign. Always watch for signs. This is where I see the biggest mistake with the distributive property is a lot of students forget that the negative goes with it, so make sure that you watch for that. So I would have a negative 4 times positive x, which gives me a negative 4x. And then I would have a negative 4 times a positive 1, which gives me a negative 4. So we still don't have the right side completely simplified, so what we want to do is go ahead and combine like terms. In this case, the 4x minus the 4x does cancel out, so those cancel each other out. The negative 4 and the negative 4, since they have the same sign, remember same means sum, so I would do 4 plus 4, which gives me 8. And then keep the sign. Since they're both negative, we would end up with negative 8. So for this, because x is now by itself, this would be our final answer. We do want to check to make sure that something does work in there, so I will pick a value in just a second to make sure that it does work. But let's go ahead and graph our solution. With this, when we graph our solution, we would put 0 as our starting point. You can do the tick marks out to negative 8. A lot of times for shorthand, I just go out to negative 8. And then I always graph it above, only because of the fact that if you graph it on here, sometimes it's hard to see where your answer is. So if you do graph it on the line, make sure that your teacher really can see where you graphed at. So for this one, because it includes negative 8, we would fill it in. And remember that as long as your variable is written first, the arrowhead always points the direction of where you're going to shade. So we would shade everything to the right. So with this, we can see that 0 is one of our values that is in our solution set. So 0 is probably the easiest one to check to see if it works. So when you check these, you just pick any value in there. So with this, I would have 0 minus 0, which is just 0. For the second one, I would have 2 times negative 2, because this is really just 0, minus 4 times 1, because I really just have 0 plus 1. So we can see that over here we have a negative 4 minus 4 gives me negative 8, and 0 is definitely greater than negative 8, so our solution set makes sense. And depending upon what level you are in algebra and what course you are taking, for some classes, this is a perfectly acceptable answer. This is all you have to do. If you are dealing with set notation, to put it in set notation, you would just put your set brackets and you would say x such that x is greater than or equal to negative 8. And if you are in a course that requires interval notation, remember that with interval notation, we would start with our lowest value. So in this case, our lowest value is negative 8. It does include it, so we do use a hard bracket. If it did not include it, we would just use a soft parenthesis. And this is everything from negative 8 up to positive infinity. So this is just another way of writing your answer. All three of these are perfectly acceptable ways of writing the answer, and they are all mean the same thing. As always, thanks for watching. If you have any other topics that you would like me to address or problems that you're stuck on, please just let me know.